Hey, Foot Clan, before we start today's show, I want to remind you, if you play DFS, guess what? We got a DFS podcast for you once a week, the Fantasy Footballers DFS podcast. Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright, Chris Meany, and Ben Cummins bring you their GPP picks, their cash picks. They get into the weeds and make it easy for you to win some cash on some DFS each and every week. Check that out on iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, the Fantasy Footballers DFS podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Redraft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Hey, everybody.
Howdy.
Hi.
Hello.
Greetings.
Salutations.
Welcome to thy podcast.
Hold on, Googling ways to say hello.
Bonjour.
Yep, that's the one.
Welcome into the show, Andy, Mike, and Jason. We're here. It's week 8. We've got a matchups episode. We have some boom boom on the show. You know, nothing better than some boom boom. All the news you need to know about fantasy football. Judge Giamatti is here. Man in the ship. Oh, you have a verdict for us, or is that how you say hello?
That's how I say
That's
hello.
how the judge says hello.
This is how Judge says hello.
Yes.
It reminded me of Indiana Jones. This is how we say goodbye in Germany. No? All right. Come on,
was
man.
Was that the kiss?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We said this is how we say goodbye, and then and then the German smacks him in the face.
Look, we're with you, Mike. We're just not as quick on the recall.
My entire memory banks are just
you have total recall.
Pop culture references. That's
Pop
all
culture. Hey, you what was it? The Philadelphia
Oh
phenomenon?
yeah, that's right. Tony Danza.
I watched a clip from that movie, and Tony Danza is so small. He's so little. I mean, he's a teeny weeny man.
Who do you got in a fight, Tony Danza or Tom Cruise?
Ooh.
Oh, give me Cruise.
Yeah,
Cruise had to have picked up something from those Mission Impossible movies.
There's one thing I'm always taking in a fight. Is crazy.
Oh, I said maybe Tony Danza, old man strength.
Oh, that's a good point.
Maybe. From working in the garage.
From kicking in the dump.
Oh, welcome to the podcast. Mike, you've been really doing a great job on the show lately.
Oh, thanks.
So as a
appreciate
reward for our quick question today, I'm going to give you the drop that you love so much.
All right.
I want to play a game.
All right, we're going to play a game today. These guys don't know what's going on, but
That's very similar to Jigsaw. You're playing a game and you have no idea what's happening.
Exactly. So we are.
I hope the stakes are not.
We're playing
the
a
same.
game, and it's called Andy's Happy Sad Game. Okay.
Oh, that's
All right.
That's a great
Sounds
name.
emotional.
Yeah.
Do you want to play along with me?
Yes.
It's called Andy's Happy Sad Game. I thought, look, we're week 8. We're halfway through the year. I wanted to look at the ADP, and I want you to tell me, are you happy or sad with the player you got at the position you got him?
All right.
Okay? This is
Okay.
Andy's Happy Sad Game. Number 1 was David Johnson.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
You're
happy or sad?
you're sad.
I think you're past the mourning phase at this point.
Yeah, you've moved
But
on.
definitely sad.
Okay. Lev Bell at number 2.
Oh, you're very happy.
Thrilled.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown.
Very, very happy.
Super happy.
Happy.
Julio Jones was number 4.
You're
You're sad right now.
Sad.
I think you are.
You're sad. Okay.
I don't think you should be
Yeah, I think
going
that
forward.
You think
but
he's going to turn that frown upside down?
you're a
That's
little
exactly right. He's going to turn that frown upside down.
little melancholy, but
Okay.
no infinite sadness.
LaShawn McCoy at number 5.
Jason likes what I did there.
I sure do. I think you're happy.
Oh, you gotta be. Shady's been great, even without touchdowns. And then he finally came through with a dose.
Well, he's getting a home stretch, too, so more on the way.
Yeah.
Devonta Freeman at number 6.
Oh, you gotta be loving
Happy.
it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Brooks, am I wrong on this? I have like a different – I feel like maybe you're okay with Freeman.
Oh, I'd be very happy
Okay.
with Freeman on my team.
Melvin Gordon at number 7.
You're mostly happy.
You're thrilled.
You're mostly happy.
Yes. Also,
if you're
there's
happy
only
with
been one.
Freeman,
There's only
you have to be. I say
I agree with those. I mean,
that's what it's more to Andy. Like, if you're happy with Gordon, you have to be happy with Freeman.
right.
Freeman has only had one game where he has not been in the top 24 running backs. Twice has that happened for Melvin Gordon. However, Gordon's also had 2 weeks where he's the number 1 running back so far this year.
Okay. Mike Evans at number 8.
It's going well. It's going
Happy?
well. Swimmingly.
AJ Green at number 9.
Yes.
I think A.J. Green owners.
Did you just say
I said, yeah.
So far
How
on
would
the
you
year.
not be thrilled with AJ Green?
I'm trying to remember.
AJ Green is the 5th ranked wide receiver right now.
There you go.
He started the year, the first 2 weeks were
Still had 10 points.
And then week 7 was bad. But, yeah, he had that stretch in the middle where he was on fire.
You're going to be very
top
happy.
10 3 weeks in a row.
How can you
happy
possibly
this
be
week.
happy with Mike Evans and not happy with AJ Green?
You
Evans
made a
is-
strong point.
Evans has been much. He's worse than Green.
Yeah, they're 6 and 7 in points per game. So.
All right, so they're about the
He's
same.
been
All right.
He's been one position worse.
Perception is reality. The reason I even wanted to play this game.
You know what it is? You know what it is for AJ Green? It's the Andy Dalton disappointment seeping in.
Okay.
While Jameis is over here throwing for 300 a game.
It's funny though because I have AJ Green. I'm so happy with AJ Green. You guys don't have him on your team.
Yeah, I don't have him
Therefore, you have
anywhere.
a less biased view, and you see the AJ Green. You see the offensive struggles, and that's why you pulled back a little bit, even though he's ahead of Evans. The reason I even pulled these up, I just was curious how many busts were in this first 20 through the year. Maybe we got one now. Number 10 was DeMarco Murray. Happy, sad.
You're not happy.
You're sad right now.
You're not happy about it.
Jordy Nelson, happy, sad.
Oh.
You were. I love Michael Keaton. Whoa, man.
Oh, by the way,
we are in sync.
my son yesterday stayed home sick. We talked about this on the show. He asked to rent Spider-Man Homecoming.
Ooh.
A surprising amount of casual profanity in that movie.
You realize it's a PG-13.
I didn't. And
You realize all the Marvel movies are PG-13.
but my kids, Nathan specifically, my youngest, the sick one, saw Michael Keaton for the first time.
Oh, yes. I still haven't seen it.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the digital rental, but I think it's available.
That's what he did.
Congratulations for him. Also, a point of clarification on something we said. Nathan is not your youngest child.
No, the youngest boy.
son.
Youngest boy.
Oh, is that what you said?
Youngest son.
Oh,
That's what I
really
heard.
was hoping to get him on not knowing the age of his children. That would have felt real good.
That would have felt real good for the youngest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ezekiel, I'm sorry. We said Jordy, you're sad. Jay Ajayi at 12. You're sad.
Yes, for sure.
Ezekiel Elliott at 13. You're happy.
You got to be more than thrilled. You got him at 13.
Jordan Howard, 14.
Oh, it's great.
Happy times.
Yeah.
Happy.
What about Michael Thomas at 15? Wide
He
receiver
is-
6 off the board.
He has got to be kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
You're neutral.
Okay.
You're just kind of there, existing.
your highs are low, your lows are high.
What?
You're-
What does that mean?
Meaning, like, when your highs.
You
when
know it's
I
not the
feel
best
like I feel like that was
explanation for something.
I don't think
You
there
know.
needs this like crazy explanation.
How
Your
about just-
highs are lower than like when you're peaking and you're crazy excited. Your lows are higher than
Okay.
infinite sadness. Your
Right.
highs are low. Your lows
Are we're just gonna go circle back to that movie over and over again?
I guess.
We got it, Jason. We totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Moving
Good
on.
point.
The people are with me.
Todd Gurley at 16.
Ecstatic.
Oh yeah.
Des Bryant at 17.
Happy.
I would say, yeah.
You got players behind him that went. Brandon
gotta be
Cooks.
okay.
Yeah, you're happy.
Yeah, you're happy if you got that.
Gronk at 18. You're happy.
Happy.
Brady at 19.
Happy.
Brandon Cooks at 20.
Happy. Sounds like the first 20 players
too
have been
bad.
relatively
not too bad.
much better than in most years where you've got, half of the first round being definite busts.
Okay. Well, that's the end of Andy's Happy Sad game. Hope you enjoyed it.
What a ride.
What a ride that was.
My highs were low and my lows were high.
You can find us over on YouTube. Don't miss out on the highs and the lows over on YouTube. Got the Halloween show coming up. We have something special planned. On Twitter, we're available at the FF Ballers. I'm at Andy Holloway. Jason, you can follow him at JasonFFL. Mike is at FF Hitman. The website's thefantasyfootballers.com, and we always appreciate your iTunes reviews. I'll go ahead and do one of these. This is a little improv, but
Uh-oh.
well, I won't make it an official because Jason. I don't know if Jason knows where it is, but I wanted to read a very concise review from a listener today.
Oh.
He said triple threat, and he said these guys create a perfect balance of tattoos, grammatically challenged dialogue, and responsible grown-up behavior.
Who was that?
This was Crazy Your Face from Canada.
Bonjour, Crazy Your Face. Well done.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. So we always appreciate the reviews. They help the show out on iTunes. Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
The Bears.
Oh.
The Bears have acquired Dontrell Inman from the Chargers.
Oh, Jay Grizz is very happy.
In exchange for a conditional 2018 7th-round pick. And this makes sense. Mike Williams, you're back. Dontrell Inman, you're too low on the depth chart for your talent level. Let's go to a team where you can rise up that depth chart.
Where you are immediately the best wide receiver there. I mean, maybe Kendall Wright.
No. Inman's better than Wright, for sure.
So then you're the best.
You're the best.
Congratulations.
Martavis Bryant said Mike Tomlin told him he'll be inactive for Sunday's game against the Lions. Does this make Juju a streamable option?
Certainly a streamable option, not an
exciting
I don't
option.
love it. But and the reason was social media.
Yeah.
If you've been following the news, Martavis Bryant got a little – he unleashed on social media, which is not the wisest move as a public figure, and it has cost him greatly. He'll miss this week. There was news of he was demoted to the scout team, to the practice team. Who knows what the future has for Martavis?
A lot of people wondering, should I keep him, trade him, cut him? We've talked about it, but if you haven't heard, he is 100% a cut.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time not cutting him.
Jay Cutler. Adam Schefter said he is expected to be available in Week 9 against the Raiders.
It's a very careful choice of words here.
Expected to be available?
Yeah. That doesn't say expected to start.
Oh.
No, he will.
That's a good point.
He's expected to be available
Well,
to
they
play.
have the game tonight, and then they have the long wait to Week 9. So we'll see. We talked yesterday. We kind of expect Matt Moore to play. I think it depends on what Matt Moore does tonight. If he's a dumpster fire, they'll rush Cutler back, and if he plays well, they'll tell Cutler to take it easy.
It's a shame because I like Matt Moore, and I want to see what the offense can do, but then this is a really poor matchup for him to come in, in a short week and play against Baltimore. So
it's a great challenge.
I'm rooting for you, Mr. Moore.
If Matt Moore is bad, I'm expecting them to rush. They're grabbing Jay Cutler, but it's like grabbing a bucket of fire to dump on your dumpster fire.
You mean to try to put it out?
Yeah, you're like, I'm a douse. Oh, no, this is terrible.
No, except for you paid $11 million for that bucket of fire.
I've never seen a bucket of
fire. That was tough to visualize.
It's hard to pour as well.
Have you ever?
So you could have gone with like
kerosene?
a lava, like maybe a bucket of lava.
What kind of bucket do you have that's holding lava?
Okay, you and I have both failed on the metaphors.
It's called a floor of lava. It's just
Brooks, can you save us? What's in the bucket that you're trying to? Kerosene is probably
no. I mean, if you're
gasoline.
If you're going
there
with
you
that,
go.
gas or grease. It was much funnier to imagine just a bucket of fire.
For you, maybe. All right, tomorrow on the show, In and Out, we'll talk through all the injuries. And a reminder, on Sunday mornings, Mike is on Periscope. We've also got the game day alerts 1 hour before kickoff. And you can always get your questions answered over at jointhefoot.com, our fantasy football community. Let's start the forecast.
Fantasy Forecast.
Just a reminder one more time, the Cardinals, Packers, Jaguars, Rams, Giants, and Titans are all on bye this week. And if you're planning ahead, we've got another big one next week, the Bears, Browns, Chargers, Vikings, Patriots, and Steelers.
And updates for this week.
Also, plan ahead.
Yeah. Updates for the game tonight. Devontae Parker is a game-time decision. How do you guys feel? If Parker plays...
I'm not playing Parker in any situation.
You're too worried about it?
If he plays...
Matchup, quarterback, and injury, that's a trifecta of disappointment.
Exactly.
Over the Ravens, Macklin, Wallace, Perriman, they're all questionable. Benjamin Watson can miss with a knee injury. Terrence West is out for the Baltimore Ravens.
This is like...
Man, there's troubles over there.
This is just going to be the
Baltimore.
replacements.
Yeah. Someone call Keanu.
Keanu Reeves going to play? Okay. Yeah, good reminder. And if you do have a player playing tonight, one, I'm sorry, and two, get them out of your flex. Make sure they're in
I
your
hope
main.
it's Jay Ajayi.
Yeah.
This actually happened to me last week in one of my other leagues. I played I can't remember who it was. There was somebody on the Thursday night game. I accidentally threw him in my flex. And
Foolish.
Rookie mistake.
and there was a moment on Sunday where I thought about playing a different position than the running back, and I was like, man, I can't do that because I didn't listen to my own advice.
Foolish.
So, all right, Vikings, Browns. Let's talk about this London matchup. Maybe that London air will treat the Browns to a victory?
Did you guys see the thing about the Vikings are doing all these analytical things to best prepare them for the game?
For London?
Yeah, for trying to change time zones, things like, if I'm remembering right, things like wearing special glasses for when they're looking at their phones, I assume for blue light.
Are you being serious?
I'm being dead serious. That they're taking extra steps of trying to acclimate.
They know they're playing the Browns?
It's still, but you remember when there was teams just don't show up. Like remember when Baltimore went there?
That's so incredible to me, though. It's just amazing that happens. Even when you have the East Coast to West Coast and how poorly teams can play, I just don't. I mean, maybe these are just such finely tuned machines that you disrupt the process just a little bit, and it doesn't turn out.
It's not the process, man. I mean, you're talking about a completely opposite time.
Well, London specifically,
yes.
Yeah. I'm amazed sometimes where teams struggle
It's that
with
body
time
clock.
zones at all. Yeah,
I can't even drive north for an hour. I mean,
are
that's still the same time zone I get screwed
these
up.
are super. Yeah, but it doesn't make you not be able to function, does it?
Well, I'm much worse at football.
All right. The Vikings, the Browns. The Vikings are 9.5-point favorites, only a 38-point over/under. It's been announced that Deshaun Kaiser will get the honor this week. Case Keenum.
We're doing this again.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk starts here. Stephon Diggs is traveling with the team.
And they think he's going to play.
So are you playing Stephon Diggs because the matchup is good on his first game back? Do you think they have basically eased him back?
Yeah, we've seen Stephon Diggs deal with injuries, not necessarily get back quick, but usually when he's back, he is good. So he was out a little longer than we hoped. He's coming back to a good matchup. I think if he gets the start, I'm willing to plug him in my lineups.
I am as well. If he plays,
Vikings defense has allowed only 16 points a game. Is this the one situation that we have had all year long, which I would play 0 Browns, and I'm including
Duke Johnson
in that. I think I would play no Browns whatsoever.
I completely agree with you. The Minnesota Vikings defense against the running back position, both on the ground and through the air, has been tremendous. So when you're already a bad team and you don't expect a lot of points to be scored, and then you're going up against a defense that shuts down what you do, I would look elsewhere for sure. And no way am I playing Isaiah Crowell.
Over under second quarter for Deshaun Kaiser getting benched.
I'm going to take the over. I think it's in the third.
All right.
It's probably going to happen.
It will happen against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to teach, how you teach confidence is a really short leash.
Kaiser's career, which I have been looking
Am
forward
I fantasy
to seeing
reaping coaches now? I was a fan of
You were just realizing this?
yeah.
I mean, way to catch up.
Gus Bus?
Well, before that was Coughlin, and he was out.
Yeah.
And then I liked Gus, and now I like Hugh Jackson, who people still talk about glowingly when you talk about Cincinnati. But as a head coach,
Deshaun Kaiser, I thought coming into this year was the best quarterback prospect, raw, but could develop into a truly great NFL quarterback. And I think that if he gets a start and gets pulled again here, you're talking about like career-ending garbage in his rookie year that's just going to destroy that young man's mental state to be able to play quarterback in the NFL. It's just not fair.
I mostly agree with you, but I will say he's a pretty confident fella.
he's a pretty bad quarterback.
He's a little rough.
Jerick McKinnon, Latavius Murray. Let's talk about the running backs from Minnesota because people see the Cleveland Browns. They hear us talk about them the way we just did, and it's a joke, but they've been pretty darn good against the running back. And you do not have a full workhorse scenario with Minnesota. You have a split job with Murray, who was great last week, McKinnon, great the 2 weeks before that. Are you starting them both in this game because you expect it to be, look, the Vegas has it as 9.5 point favorites for the Vikings. So is there time for Murray to run the clock out, or are you with me on pumping the brakes on him?
Jerick McKinnon is a must-play because of his role in the offense. I do agree with you that if you're playing Latavius Murray, you're playing him, you're hoping for garbage time, or not garbage time, but run the clock out time. The Browns' defense, they have tackled opponents for a loss on over 20% of rushing attempts. So that's second best in the NFL. And Latavius Murray is a guy that he needs to build up a head of steam and get going. So if the defense is able to penetrate and stop him before the run gets going, Murray's in for a really tough day.
Yeah, I agree. I would be comfortable pumping the brakes on him and saying he's a worse start than normal. He's still okay. I mean, people are starting guys like Alex Collins, and you've got Latavius Murray here 3 weeks in a row since that injury to Dalvin Cook, where 12 carries, 15 carries, 18
he's getting touches.
carries. So
you're hoping for some flames.
I don't love the matchup, but I do agree that when you're just looking at a volume play for an opportunity, he's going to have it there. Just don't still stay on the thought process that Latavius Murray or that the Cleveland Browns are a bad rushing defense. They are a horrific passing defense, and specifically against the tight end. I mean, we're talking
Kyle Rudolph, start him up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'd play Thielen as well. He's a start every week.
Yeah, I completely agree. Case Keenum as well. I think
you're willing to stream him?
I am totally willing to start Case Keenum.
Diggs back?
You get Diggs back. You got Thielen, and Kyle Rudolph. It has basically as good a matchup as you can have. We see teams that travel to London completely not show up, and if the Browns don't show up, I'm fine starting Case Keenum in this game as well.
Real quick, but right before you get into that, Jay, real quick news update. I should have mentioned that Michael Thomas missed practice yesterday. Peyton said that he doesn't believe it's a significant injury, but this is something to keep on your radar. He didn't really say anything else on the matter, and you need to pay attention to Michael Thomas' status for this week. And then Jay Gruden talked about playing the hot hand between Doxson and Pryor.
Jay Gruden, man.
That's a rough scenario. You don't normally do that with
wide
wide
receivers. How do you get
receivers.
hot-handed at the receiver position?
Right. It's
Yeah,
not like, man, he's doing so good with his touches.
Come on.
That's really weird. All right. Before we get to the next matchup, I want to thank today's sponsor, Draft. They are our studio sponsor. They are a game that we love to play. Draft basically is DFS that you already know how to play. Daily fantasy where you can go spend some dollars, win some bucks, and play a game that is much more fun, in my opinion, than the standard salary cap leagues. You get to draft. You get to use that strategy that you use in the offseason. I have played so many draft games, especially early in the offseason. I love everything about it. Now they've introduced these multi-week tournaments that you can get into where it's like $10 to enter, and if you win a couple weeks in a row, you're talking about thousands out in an 8-man league. There's really, really cool stuff there. And if you go to draft.com/ballers, draft.com/ballers, you can play against us, and you get a free entry to a game. You got to check them out. You will super enjoy it. We do it every Friday, and we put lunch bets on the line. So enjoy it. Play with your friends. Draft.com/ballers.
What is the conversion rate between dollars and bucks?
I think it's a 1-to-1.
Is it a
if
1-to-1?
you're in America?
Yes.
I don't. I haven't traveled overseas. I don't know if that changes, but in America, it's a 1-to-1 ratio.
Okay. Yeah. Straight cash, homie.
Straight cash on.
We also want to remind you about our fantasy community. If you've listened to the show, you've heard us talk about jointhefoot.com, and maybe you wonder, what does it mean to be a supporter of this podcast?
To be an official Foot Clan.
Yeah, I mean, we're pumping out content all year long, 150-plus shows a year. And if you join the Foot Clan, if you become an official supporter of this show, we like to give value back to you for that support. And if you go to jointhefoot.com, if you look at what you get to be a Foot Clan member, you get a bonus weekly podcast. You get an extra episode of this show where we answer your questions and your questions only. You get community access. You get access to all of our exclusive forums where you can, talk to 5,000 other passionate fantasy players that have the same, excitement level that you have about fantasy football. You get access in the offseason to joining Foot Clan only leagues, which is really fun because, I just got an email from somebody on the Foot Clan that said that they wanted me to talk about this. They're in a league, a family league. And one of the players, they've decided, because of what's going on with the NFL and the politics and stuff like that, they're not interested in playing fantasy football anymore. Except this player decided to drop all their players one by one by one by one into the waiver wire as they left the league. And then the commissioner of the league signed all the players. And his wife signed the rest.
Wow.
Who is also in the league. And they wanted us to come on the air.
That's a quality league.
And call that league out a little bit. And I said, my response was, hey, look, obviously that's ludicrous. But when it goes that far, I'm just like, find another league. And that's what we try to do. We facilitate leagues with commissioners that won't do that.
That's so ridiculous.
You also get access to premium projections. You get access to flex rankings.
Our consistency charts.
Consistency charts, game day alerts. That's all just for being a base level Foot Clan member, supporting us. That's $5 a month to support us on jointhefoot.com. And we really appreciate all of the Foot Clan out there. And we listen to your feedback, trying to make improvements. This year we've added new things to that membership, and we just try to improve that. We've got giveaways for people who support at a higher level. You got live streams. We just did a live stream yesterday. So there's lots of really cool ways to stay connected to this show, and we really appreciate everybody that joins us on that journey at jointhefoot.com. Let's talk about the Raiders and the Bills. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites at home in this game, 45.5 points. This would have been kind of to me, a really easy, almost upset pick. So I'm not going to make it my almost upset pick this week.
I think you said the Raiders were at home.
No, I said they're traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo's a 2.5-point favorite at home.
Gotcha. Okay, I heard that wrong. I want to make sure we were the game is in Buffalo.
We're on the same page.
We are now.
All right, Derek Carr. Mike, you're hesitant to start him in this game.
I am.
Marshawn Lynch is going to miss. I don't think that really hurts the offense because Marshawn Lynch hadn't been really helping the offense. Got Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington. They'll be splitting carries. I guess it's Thursday. Let's weigh in. Who's your favorite there, Richard, Washington? If you had to have one, you had to start him.
If I have to start one, I'm starting Richard.
That's what I am too. I think the majority of people are leaning Washington.
Yeah, I think that Washington has the higher chance at a touchdown. Part of that was because of last week. I mean, on the goal line, they gave it to Washington. He was drafted by the team for a specific reason, and so but I like both. I do. It's really a coin flip between the two.
I think that Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington are the real trap here. I think with Marshawn Lynch out, people are rushing to sign them, especially with the Bipocalypse, and start them thinking they're really good plays. Except this isn't a good matchup, and it's going to be a 50-50.
It's on the road.
It's going to be a 50-50 timeshare. So I'm not saying you can't start Jalen Richard or DeAndre Washington. I mean, you might need to, but I don't think either one is this great play where you're going to be happy and thrilled at the end of the week. And unless they get in the end zone, especially, I think that's going to be true. I'm expecting both guys to be total around 40 to 50 yards. That's not going to get it done if you don't happen to get a touchdown.
Yeah, the Bills' defense has only allowed 0.8 touchdown passes per game this year. Now, that is a concern for Derek Carr. It's a concern if you're a Crabtree or Cooper owner or you're trying to ride the wave that was Amari Cooper last week. I think you just temper expectations on those players. I don't think anybody's sitting Michael Crabtree. Nobody's sitting Amari Cooper after last week's performance. But you have to temper those expectations, and Vegas has it at a 45.5-point over-under. My favorite play in this entire game is Tyrod Taylor, my streaming quarterback. The Raiders, they hit the quarterback the lowest percentage of the time of any team in the league. They have no interceptions in 7 games this year, which is incredible. So you already have an evasive quarterback in Tyrod Taylor, and now you have an offensive line that's going to be able to protect him against this really bad pass rush. I think Taylor is such a safe play this week. I think if you're in need, roll him out there.
I completely agree. Now the question is, who's his pass-catching option that you start?
Nobody.
LaShawn McCoy obviously will be fine. He might lead the team in receptions.
Yeah, I don't start Jones, Thompson, or Matthews. And
Thompson even after the big game?
No, because Thompson look, Jordan Matthews is working himself back into the fold. By the way, Zay Jones catching something like 20% of his targets this year.
He's been so for what he showed in college and what he showed at the combine. I think he's been my biggest rookie disappointment. I thought he could. I mean, he had every opportunity line up his way, and he has not gotten it done. I think Jordan Matthews is the guy that I'm not starting, but I'm keeping an eye on. If he has a good week, I'm buying in because I think he's an excellent wide receiver in general, and I think they need him. Mr. Very necessary right now, Nick O'Leary, the tight end, that position is just so heavily
He remains
utilized,
very necessary.
and I believe you can start him in if you're streaming the tight end position and you don't have an option you love, Nick O'Leary is on virtually every waiver, and I think you can pick him up and plug him in.
Last week was a bit of a disaster for our next quarterback, Andy Dalton. The Colts travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, and the Bengals are heavy favorites in this game, 10.5-point favorites. You have to expect that after the Colts got shut out last week. Their defense is giving up 27 points a game. That's worst in the league. And the storyline for me, and we're going to talk about him in a little bit, I love Joe Mixon in this game. I think it's a really important game for Joe Mixon. The Colts defense is giving up 1.4 rushing touchdowns per game. We'll talk more about the projections there. But are you comfortable starting Andy Dalton? Are you comfortable starting Tyler Kroft? Are you comfortable starting anybody outside of A.J. Green at the receiver position?
I love pretty much the entire Bengals offense in this matchup. The Colts it's just rough, and for a 10.5-point favorite, like you said, let's say Joe Mixon. This is such a big week for him because the matchup is there. The coaches last week clearly made a mistake in the second half of not giving Joe Mixon touches when he was averaging 6 yards a carry.
He was 7 for 48
in the first half.
Didn't get another carry second half.
If Mixon, and Andy, not to take away from you, but I know you're confident in him. But if it doesn't happen this week, where is your alarm going to be set at?
I think if it doesn't happen this week, what you do as a fantasy owner is adjust what you're expecting to get from him. He becomes a rotational matchup flex play instead of somebody that you're because what I'm looking for with Joe Mixon is, especially with a rookie, getting the touches he's getting, and with the matchups, it's not just this week, right? He's got Jacksonville. They're not a great run D. After that, he's got Tennessee. They haven't been able to stop anybody on the ground. So you have a run, 3 games here. If he doesn't do it against Indianapolis, all of a sudden I go into next week, week 9, and I'm not looking at him as an RB2 that I can start. I'm not looking at him in week 10 as an RB2 that I can start. I'm adjusting my expectation. Maybe I'm adjusting the way I approach trading for running backs for the home stretch. So this is an important game for Joe Mixon. Last week he complained about touches. Marvin Lewis wasn't really happy about that. He says he needs to show maturity regarding those things. You
need to be a better coach.
Yeah,
how about that?
Well, that's not something he can say back to him, unfortunately, regardless of it being the truth. So you bring up a good point. We have our starts of the week on the show today, and Joe Mixon's my start of the week. So I'm going to invest in him against this run defense that's 26th in the league, a pass defense that's 31st, and a game script that should really accentuate Mixon's opportunities in the second half as opposed to last week when he, it was a mistake by the Bengals, but they were also trailing in that game. They barely touched the ball. The time of possession was messed up.
Yeah, the thing that happened, if you remember the game against Pittsburgh last week, is that once they were down, Pittsburgh could pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. And Cincinnati didn't want to run the clock because they were down multiple scores, so they had to put it in Andy Dalton's hand in obvious passing situations. And every time the ball was snapped, Pittsburgh was in the backfield all up in Andy Dalton's grill. That's not going to happen against the Indianapolis Colts. That's why Vegas has them as 10.5-point favorites at home. I love Joe Mixon this week. My only worry with Joe Mixon is Jeremy Hill. Is it going to be one of those games where they just get him too involved? But it's now or never for Mixon, so I really like him. And I agree with you, Mike. I like every single Bengal in this game to the point where I think if you're on one of those bipocalypse and you're looking waiver wire options, Brandon LaFell is a guy that you could throw out in a matchup and end up with 70 yards and a touchdown in a plus matchup. But you're starting A.J. Green. I like Tyler Kroft. I like Andy Dalton. I like Joe Mixon. So
let's move it.
Fire him up.
So let's talk about the Colts side. Jack Doyle's been
Don't make me do it.
Jack Doyle has been reliable 44 yards last week against Jacksonville, 50 the week before against Tennessee with a touchdown.
Mike, who was that again?
Did I say – oh, baby hands Jack Doyle.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I
Were you confused on who it was until he
Oh,
clarified?
yeah.
Yeah. It's not just Jack Doyle. It's baby hands Jack
You were
Doyle.
talking very positively about the player.
Well, I didn't
Hey, he was my start of the week at the tight end position last week, and the targets are going to be there again. I mean, this is you gave up 10 sacks. Indianapolis gave up 10 sacks last week. Now you give Jacoby Brissett almost assuredly a deficit. He's going to have to dump that ball off to baby hands.
All right, Frank Gore.
It's not a good matchup.
Marlon
though.
Mack, are you playing either of the running backs?
I'm gonna go so far as to say I will not play a Colt,
Whoa.
including Jack Doyle.
What?
I think Cincinnati is a very good defense. I think they are a top 6 defense.
They're third against the pass.
in the league right now. And so when the Indianapolis Colts on the road have to get into their obvious passing situations, you're hoping for Jacoby Brissett to have value running the ball in fantasy. That could happen, and he could be all right, but they're good against the tight end, and that's their best option. I want to stay away. I can't trust Frank Gore. I can't trust Marlon Mack. Not even just the matchup. You can't trust who's going to get the ball, let alone in a bad matchup on the road. I'm not touching a Colt.
Don't touch a Colt. Don't do it. Chargers at the Patriots. I've been very interested in the narrative of this game. The Patriots are 7-point favorites at home. I get that. It's a 48.5-point over-under. I get that. It seems like the narrative, and look, if you go look at consensus rankings everywhere, Tom Brady's the #1 quarterback on the week. He's at home. He's got the Chargers. Am I missing something? The Chargers last week, dominant on defense. Yes, they were playing Denver, who struggled a little bit. Why is it that people think Tom Brady is going to completely butter knife through this defense that's 5th against the pass this year, that has shown an ability to get to the quarterback? Do you guys buy into that narrative? Do you think this is going to be an absolute #1 quarterback week for Tom Brady, or is there a trap built in there where he may be good, not great?
I think there could be a trap built in, but it's Tom Brady at home, and that's
against a team
everything.
that can score on him, which helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps. But I mean, we thought the Ravens were going to be able to score on them as well.
The Falcons?
The Falcons. It's a bird. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's a bird. Let's just refer to all those teams as the birds.
The Atlanta Birds.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. It's Tom Brady at home, and with the way that Tom Brady is playing right now, do you really feel comfortable moving him out of your top 3?
No, I don't.
No, I mean, you're not benching him if you have him.
No,
I mean,
certainly that's not. But
I look. My gut tells me he's outside the top 5 this week.
Sure. I mean, if you look at the last month for Tom Brady, he's been Tom Brady, been getting the job done. But for fantasy purposes, in a 6-point per touchdown league, his last 4 weeks, 27, 17, 22, 24. Those are not quarterback #1 numbers. The weekly top 3 quarterbacks are usually pushing over that 30 number, and so in 6-point leagues. And so I agree with you, Andy. This isn't a great matchup for him, and he hasn't been at that #1 position, even though he has still been great. I mean, last week, kind of disappointing. He still threw 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's a great game. You're going to start him
really
if
threw
you have
1
him.
touchdown.
All right.
Yes, that's true.
Pick your favorite running back from the Patriots.
Deion Lewis.
Deion Lewis. You sticking with James White?
I'll stick with James White. You're starting Brandon Cooks. You're starting Chris Hogan.
Yes.
You're starting Gronkowski. So, look, the decisions aren't difficult on the New England side. I'm going to bring up a stat. You guys, I don't know if you've ever looked at this or considered it much in fantasy football, but Phillip Rivers, right? We look at him, and we've been saying the opportunity for him to kind of be that, high passing volume, relevant fantasy quarterback. And this week he should be good, right? New England's not been good against the pass. Have you ever looked at time of possession year over year on these teams? You just talked about Andy Dalton in this game last week. They only had They had the ball for 24 minutes. That's really, really low. Specifically last week against Pittsburgh, where Carolina leads the league this year. 33 minutes a game they have the
Right.
ball. That's opportunity, right? We talk about snaps. Look, if you got the ball more often, you got more opportunity. It's interesting that this year the Chargers are the 4th lowest in the league in terms of time of possession. You're talking a 27-minute average. So while Rivers has been very good while he's on the field, you actually have a gap of almost 6 minutes there compared to Carolina or the bigger teams in the league where they just aren't giving him an opportunity. You literally have 6 minutes less than another team has to put up production. I wonder if that's part of the factor why you see Rivers the player doing okay and Rivers the fantasy player being a little bit inconsistent.
It's all those Melvin Gordon causing 3-and-outs.
Oh, Melvin Gordon's going to go off this week. Melvin Gordon is a great fantasy player.
He probably will.
You know what?
Or 4-and-outs. Give him credit for his goal line 4-and-out last
man,
week.
that was
Oh,
amazing.
that was so terrible. Look, they haven't had the ball.
I'm pretty
a
sure
lot.
you give me 4 tries, I'm getting that in.
You are
Just saying.
Pretty sure you're not.
You're correct. In
Well,
that.
as long as I don't pass away on the first carry.
Yeah.
But Philip Rivers hasn't been getting it done with the low time of possession, and I don't expect that time of possession being, the 4th lowest in the league is going to continue because they are a team coached by a running back coach that wants to run the ball if they have the opportunity to do so.
Except
against
they're
the New
throwing
England.
the
No,
5th highest percentage in the
I
league.
know. That's what I'm
okay.
saying that's not what they want to be doing. It's what they've been forced into doing in several of the matchups. You think, week 1 against Denver where you talk about time of possession, Denver was just dominant, controlling every aspect of that game, and it was at the very end of the game where they just had to throw, and Philip Rivers got all of his value there. You saw that, Kansas City.
That was mostly because
time of possession.
they couldn't run
Philadelphia.
the ball.
So, but can they run the ball against the New England Patriots, whose run defense has been horrid, and then their best and maybe only run stopper now is out for the season? I think Melvin Gordon's going to have a fine game, and Philip Rivers should have a fine game. I in this matchup, I'm fine starting. I love Keenan Allen. I love Philip Rivers. I love Melvin Gordon. I love Hunter Henry.
Let's play an Andy's Happy Sad Game mini game. Mike, I want to know your thoughts on Keenan Allen this year.
Oof.
Happy, sad.
I think you're mostly happy.
You cracking a smile?
Yeah, yeah. You're not grinning from ear to ear. It has certainly been rough the past couple weeks, considering 41, 45, 67 receiving yards. But those, aside from Oakland, the Giants and Denver, it's a little bit tougher on the passing game. But I mean, you're mostly happy.
Okay.
Let's say with the draft position you had to give up for Keenan Allen.
Yeah, when you watch the games, he's the clear number 1 target. He's the go-to guy. No one expected a good game last week against Denver, and you got what you expected, which was a bad game.
All right, let's talk Bears-Saints. The Saints are 9-point favorites at home. The Bears, a surprisingly good team this year. I think, the defense has performed. They're in the top 15 they're in the top 12 against the run and the pass. The Saints have managed to shore up a defense that looked atrocious to start the year. What are the headlines for you guys this week when it comes to this matchup in New Orleans?
My number 1 headline here is you have to check out Jay Grizz on Twitter, at JayGrizzFFL, and his Throwback Thursday picture, because it's incredible.
For the Bears.
No, it's Jay Grizz as a baby.
Wow.
It's his throwback. I don't know how he got the photos. But my highlights are Jordan Reed is –
You just retweeted it.
You're darn right I did. Jordan Howard is – are you playing anyone from the Bears except for Jordan Howard with any kind of confidence?
No.
Jason?
No.
And that includes Zach Miller, not interested, not really touching any of those guys. They won a game last week with 4 completed passes. So
That's impossible.
and
That's
you have
absolutely impossible.
an opportunistic defense with the Saints. I'd play the Saints D in this game. Mitch Trubisky can make mistakes. And unlike last week when they did not have to throw the ball, 2 defensive touchdowns for Chicago, it is a near guarantee they're going to have to throw the ball in this game. I mean, I'm excited to see if Dontrell Inman works into the rotation. I'm excited to see what Trubisky can do. maybe you have a flyer
maybe
on
5 completed
maybe
passes.
you have a flyer on Tariq Cohen because they're going to be probably down in this game trying to come back. But yeah, I mean it's not exciting.
The same way that you feel right now about Tom Brady is how I feel about Drew Brees in this game. You're starting Drew Brees. He's at home. It's okay. But I think the expectation, you look at, it's Drew Brees at home against the Bears, who are a lousy team. The Bears defense has been really, really lock solid good this year. And
I did not say they're a lousy team, by the way.
No. I'm saying
the perception
I'm saying the perception
sure,
in the world right now is that they're still a poor team.
In a world.
But their defense has been really good. If Michael Thomas is dealing with injury, Willie Snead is dealing with injury right now.
Sure.
Are you going to be able to – basically what I'm saying is my Saints at home excitement that I usually have isn't quite as high because I think this matchup – the Bears are going to try to run Jordan Howard 40 times in this game if they can. The only way they're not going to be able to do that is if the Saints get out to a big lead and Drew Brees is able to, get a 2 or 3 possession lead by the half. Otherwise, Jordan Howard's going to keep the clock running, keep the score lower, and so my expectation for almost all the Saints is a little less than the usual fire them up.
So 47.5 point over/under.
I would take the under in this game.
All right, one more matchup before we get –
And we didn't say their names, but Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, they're both must-plays.
Yeah, you have to play them every week regardless of matchup.
one more matchup, then we're going to get into our starts of the week, so stay tuned for that. The Atlanta Falcons travel to New York. They take on the Jets. The Jets just blew that game against Miami last week, but it was a competitive matchup. 46-point over/under. The Jets are 4.5-point underdogs at home in this game. The Falcons, their offense has struggled. We saw this on national TV last week. And
we kind of saw it. Was really hard to see.
That's true.
Oh, with the fog?
Very foggy.
The fog match?
Yes.
It's funny that we got that Madden view for the majority of that game because the sideline view.
It was so great. I enjoyed that.
You liked it?
I loved it. I loved seeing a little bit more what the quarterback sees, and I wish that they would rotate that camera into the regular – I thought
more
it was
often.
Awesome. Yes, more often.
Yeah, I think a lot of the feedback that people had was in that direction. They said, hey, you're looking at the future of watching NFL games. I'm so used to the product because I'm got the Werther's Originals in, and I like the old school, but it's unique. It's definitely – it gave you the ability to actually see the game. I mean, imagine they don't have that camera.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, your broadcast is
white fog,
which maybe is better than the Atlanta offense right now.
Oh.
All right, you're starting them all up though. The Jets, they can't play defense, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that is correct. So Freeman, Coleman, I'm
Matt
still
Ryan.
willing to play them both.
Tevin Coleman limited in Wednesday's practice, had 19 snaps last week. Could see a little bit more action for Devonta Freeman this week.
We better.
Yeah,
Come on.
I think that's the disappointment with Freeman. I was talking about earlier. There's been games where his workload's been low. He's been hyper efficient, which has saved him. Like if you looked at players that have been the most efficient versus least efficient before last week, Freeman was the most efficient on touches to touchdowns, where McCoy had been like the least efficient on touches to touchdowns. So Freeman this week, you got to start him up. You got to love that 28th ranked Jets D when you talk about a big game from Devonta Freeman.
Yeah, I look at this game and I kind of have the opposite feel of the previous game we were talking about, where I expect the under. Here I expect the over. I think you're going to have two defenses, especially with the New York Jets being at home and McCown looking, sharper and more in control of that offense as all these new pieces kind of gel together. I think you're going to get some points thrown up. There's not a Falcon, as far as obviously you're starting Julio, you're starting Matt Ryan, you're starting Devonta Freeman. I would also start Tevin Coleman, and I would also start Mohamed Sanu. He was so involved this past week that I think against the New York Jets, you're able to start him. So I'm basically firing everyone up. I don't love Taylor Gabriel and Austin Hooper. I mentioned this, on the last show, but Austin Hooper is a guy that when Mohamed Sanu has been in the game, he has not been involved as a pass catcher. I know he had those, that crazy long touchdown in week 1.
I would not touch Austin.
No, I wouldn't either. That's what I'm saying. Now that Sanu is back, Hooper has not been used as a pass catcher. For the Jets, you got Forte, maybe
Yeah.
McCown.
Oh no, I'm for sure playing Forte.
Okay, McCown.
Yeah, McCown is a great streamer. I mean,
ASJ, you're starting him for sure.
Yeah.
And we looked at Jermaine Kearse yesterday. I mean, he's having a better year than a guy like Rashard Matthews. He's been involved, 4 more receptions, I think, each of the last 3 weeks. If I had to pick one, he'd be the guy to pick from that wide receiver
You'd
core.
go Kearse over Robbie Anderson?
Yeah, and Robbie Anderson had been limited this week. You're looking for a big play with Robbie Anderson.
Sure.
Kearse, you're looking at a safer floor.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, I think I would avoid either one of those guys if possible, and it probably is possible.
So Jeremy Curley for Jason.
Negatory.
Negative.
Starts of the week.
All right, it's time for our Week 8 starts of the week. Well, I'm taking Matt Ryan. I'm taking Matt Ryan against the Jets. I think they'll get it figured out against that pass defense that's 24th in the league. This is the pass defense that just gave up 326 and 4 touchdowns against Miami's half Cutler, half Moore quarterback situation.
Maybe that's the answer for the Dolphins.
Go 50-50?
Yeah. Jay Cutler starts the first half, and Matt Moore.
No, you got to mix it up. You don't know who's starting which half.
What if you put them both in at the same time?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy. You were saying something.
Revolutionary.
Thanks for that, guys. Matt Ryan, I'm going to take him as a start of the week. Basically, this is me saying have some confidence in Matt Ryan after the disappointment of last week. The Jets, I think the Jets will be able to score on Atlanta. I think this game will turn into a pretty good one for fantasy players. So I don't think I read the over-under earlier, but it's 46 points. So I'm going to fire up Matt Ryan.
I'm going with the chocolate grasshopper.
Oh, my goodness.
Andy Dalton, Cincinnati Bengals. He takes on the
so
Colts.
much terrible about that nickname.
I like it. But he's taking on the Colts. The Colts defense in recent games, they gave up 330 passing yards to Blake Bortles. They give up over 300 to a completely immobile Marcus Mariota, who got shut down by the Cleveland Browns, by the way, the next week. They also gave up over 300 yards to the now benched Brian Hoyer.
You get a 300, and you get a 300.
I feel pretty confident that the chocolate grasshopper is going to sustain nutritional value to your fantasy teams.
I am going
Andy
to
Dalton.
Andy Dalton, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm taking Phillip Rivers of the Los Angeles Chargers. I was looking up data, and I just couldn't find the data I was looking for over and over and over because I couldn't find
Because you were looking at San Diego.
I was looking for SD.
Oh, my goodness.
No, they are the Los Angeles Chargers. You wouldn't know that by going to Los Angeles and sitting at their stadium, but you're playing the Patriots, whose best pass defense, without a doubt, is Falk. That is their best pass defense. Last week,
a good point.
I think it actually affected the passing game because while you could see low on the field, when you're throwing the ball deep, it's got to go up, and you know it's easier to miss that ball. I think I think that affected both quarterbacks.
Maybe sign Fogg to an extension.
Yes, if you're the Patriots this week, you're talking about a defense that has given up no less on the entire season than 21 fantasy points to the quarterback. That's the lowest they've given up. So if it's a bad game, a game that's disappointing, you're still happy with it. 2 times they've given up over 40 points, and Phillip Rivers can get the job done. I think this is a high-scoring game. I'm firing him up.
Any chance Mike Williams breaks out in this game?
No.
Okay. All right.
But I will say this: shipping off Dontrell Inman is a great sign for what they think they have in Williams.
Absolutely. All right, why don't you come right back with your running back?
Yeah, my running back start of the week.
What?
Are you surprised? You hadn't seen it?
No, I had not seen it.
My running back start of the week this week is LeGarrette Blount. Fire him up.
Got no problem with that.
Here's the deal.
San Francisco.
Yeah, that's fair.
San Francisco's run defense has been so bad, and not just this year, but we're going back to last year from the 2016 season to now. They are giving up, on average, a top 6 running back. If you just take whoever plays against them, they are a great start week in, week out. And to be honest, LeGarrette Blount's looked great.
Not last week.
Last week, he didn't look as good as he's looked on the season, but he was playing a defense that's far better than San Francisco. He's also the time-killing, type of back there, and this is a game where at home, huge favorites. You take that home favorite, touchdown opportunity. I like LeGarrette Blount. If he's on your roster, he should start.
You're expecting the Eagles to have plenty of time to kill?
Yes.
Just reading books.
Yeah.
Hanging out. I'm going with Mike's motivational moment here, ladies and gentlemen. It was a smashing success for Amari Cooper. So I got
motivated Amari.
We got Amari Cooper going. This guy has 23-plus carries the past 3 weeks in a row. Go Jay Ajayi is what I'm saying, and I like him a lot. Since week 3, Baltimore is giving up 154 rushing yards per week. So I love Jay Ajayi tonight. I think this is the breakout game, not necessarily for the future, so I should say a breakout game for this week. Jay Ajayi.
All right. I'm going with Joe Mixon against Indianapolis. We talked about this a little bit. I believe the next 3 games could really reset the season, not just for him, but for Cincinnati's offense. Indianapolis, listen to this. They've given up 170 yards and 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. That's 170-plus rushing yards and 2 touchdowns to the running back position each of the last 2 weeks. Joe, get it done, Joe. That's what I got to say.
I'll jump back in here then with my wide receiver start of the week, Demaryius Thomas. The Chiefs are allowing the most fantasy points to wide receivers. They're giving up 13 receptions per week the past 3 weeks to the wide receiver position. Yes, I know that Casey Hayward got Demaryius Thomas last week. Shut him down. He did have the 80-yard offensive pass interference that got wiped out, unfortunately, but we're just 2 weeks removed from him dominating the Giants, 10 receptions, 100 yards. I love Demaryius Thomas this week. The only thing that would stop Demaryius Thomas is if the offensive line cannot hold up against the Chiefs, which certainly is a danger, but I love Demaryius Thomas this week.
Yeah, I like Demaryius Thomas this week, but when you say the only thing that could stop him is something that probably will happen, that's a little bit more scary.
It's certainly.
My start of the week at the wide receiver position is Kelvin Benjamin. You've got a really bad performance last week by the entire Carolina offense, and the question of, is this Cam? Is this what's to be expected? And then we were looking forward going, look, by we I mean Mike and I, don't believe that Cam Newton is a great quarterback, but he has been able to get the job done for fantasy. And when we looked at the upcoming schedule, it's very nice, and it starts with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense against the wide receivers have been the second worst in the league as far as giving up points to the position. I think that there's a very low odds that Kelvin Benjamin has a poor game this week against this defense that's so beatable. And there are, the odds that he has that poor game are lower than the odds that he has a monstrous game. So if I'm, Kelvin is usually right now on most rosters a guy that is a weekly decision. You're saying, do I start him or do I not? And whenever a guy comes off a bad performance, you lean towards no. And I'm saying lean the other direction. Kelvin should be fine this week.
I'm going to grab myself a piece of the San Francisco game on the Philly side, and that's Nelson Aguilar. Look, Nelson Aguilar is the 10th-ranked fantasy wide receiver, and I'm going to stay in the touchdown flames. 3 straight weeks with a touchdown, 5 of his 7 weeks with a touchdown, earning the trust of Carson Wentz, 4 more receptions each of the last 3 weeks. Look, he's surpassing Alshon Jeffrey right now in terms of notoriety and fantasy performance. So, look, I don't think he's a world beater, but if you have the quarterback who's thrown the most touchdowns in the league and you have his eye, like Nelson Aguilar does right now, I think you start him up, especially in a home matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm going to make Nelson Aguilar my start of the week. It's nice to see a player that I believed in him coming out of college. I certainly felt like he rewrote that narrative into being a bust, but he's coming alive. And my tight end start of the week is the old man himself, Jason Witten. Look, 8 receptions, 4 receptions last week, had a touchdown. Washington's just atrocious against the tight end position. And in my opinion, Mike, you make the joke all the time. You say Cole Beasley's the best wide receiver in Dallas. look, there's one wide receiver that can play in Dallas, and his name's Des Bryant. I don't think Cole Beasley is anything special. I don't think Terrence Williams is special. I don't think Bryce Butler is special. I think Jason Witten is the second-best pass catcher on that offense, and I'm going to take him and his lack of athleticism. I'm going to roll him out against Washington. Because I like the fact that Washington's going to score on Dallas, too. I think this game's going to be an open this is the Dak game. This is a Dak performance. So give me Jason Witten. Give me a piece of it.
Every week is a Dak game.
It has become that
I'm all
way.
about that Dak life.
Isn't it nice to see Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz, the new superstars of the NFL?
Yes.
When you have some of these older guys that aren't going to be there forever, you can see the next generation.
Yeah, I love it. My tight end start of the week is pretty much a streaming option, but it's a guy that he should be on your waiver wire, and I have confidence in him. That's the Tomb Raider himself, Tyler Kroft. I'm doubling up on my Bengals here. I said I like the matchup.
You do.
And the Colts are giving up the 9th most points to the tight end position, and we have found the other Tyler.
Yeah.
No, Eiferd's gone, so they bring in Tyler Kroft. He's got 3 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. The matchup is juicy. So if you're looking at your tight end going, hey, I don't know if I want to play Zach Miller this week, then stream away with Tyler Kroft.
In our league of record, I am playing Tyler Kroft in my lineup
there
this
you go.
week, so it is. I think it's worthy advice. My start of the week at tight end is Kyle Rudolph. We talked about it earlier. Cleveland is one of the worst teams against the tight end.
Second worst.
Yes, they are the second worst. And if you look at, I really like looking at trends that have continued from 2016. We're far enough in now where if a team was terrible against the position last year for the whole year, and now halfway through this year, they're still that bad, it's not going to change the second half of this year. And that's what you've got in San Francisco against running backs. That's what you've got in Cleveland against the tight ends. And so, you've got a guy who, in this bad landscape of tight ends, his last 4 games, he's had over 5 receptions, over at least 40 yards. Those aren't terrific numbers, but if you've got the volume coming up against a horrifically bad defense against tight ends, I think you could start Kyle Rudolph, plug him in. He should have a good game and a great chance for a touchdown.
I was pretty tempted to make him my start of the week, so I like it. I like the opportunity for him there. All right, that is it for the show. The starts of the week. We'll get into the rest of them.
Whoa.
Yeah, man, you're missing.
Oh, you're right.
Come on now.
Sorry. Goodness, the most important part comes at the end.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
Harrison Butker.
I love it.
You love it because he's your kicker.
I love it because he's my kicker.
There you go. I hope somehow
He's got a great name.
Yeah, for a kicker.
It's like
His
the
name
word
is Butker.
His last name is literally Butt Kicker?
Yeah. His last name is Butt Kicker.
Harrison Butt Kicker.
Harrison Butt Kicker.
He's been kicking butt.
That's pretty much just Harrison Ford. He's a butt kicker.
I'm pretty
too.
sure Butker's been the #1 kicker since he took over for Caro Santos.
The last 3 weeks, I know for sure that he has been.
There you go. You've done the research.
Yeah, because I thought it was Justin Tucker. It's not. Harrison Butker's been better.
Harrison Butt Kicker.
Harrison Butt Kicker.
Just to be sure, Butker over Tucker.
Ooh.
Over the last 3 weeks, yes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, this week, your boom boom kicker, it's Butker over Tucker.
Yeah, Butker over Tucker.
All right. That's the kind of analysis we bring you here on the Fantasy Footballers.
It's incredible.
The rest of the matchups tomorrow, definitely check out Draft. We talked about it earlier. Draft.com/ballers. Play along with us. Have a good one, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.